Thursday, February 3rd, 2022. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. President Biden has signed off on sending additional troops to reinforce NATO allies in Eastern Europe amid a mounting crisis with Russia over Ukraine. About 2,000 U.S. military personnel will be sent to forward locations in Poland, and 1,000 troops posted in Germany will move to Romania, our Mike Glenn reports. Another 8,500 troops are on high alert for possible deployment to the region in the days to come. The president said the increased deployment is totally consistent with what he has told Russian President Vladimir Putin during the stare-down over Ukraine. Pentagon officials insisted the troops will not be sent to Ukraine directly. Their mission will be to reassure and bolster the defenses of NATO allies in the region. CNN President Jeff Zucker has resigned over his failure to disclose a consensual relationship with a colleague. Valerie Richardson reports the relationship was with CNN Chief Marketing Officer Allison Gollust, who formerly was an aide to former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Cuomo's brother Chris was fired from the network in December for helping combat accusations of sexual harassment against his older brother. Zucker said he failed to disclose the affair during an internal investigation. Washington's NFL franchise is now the Washington Commanders. The team announced in a much-hyped unveiling that felt anticlimactic for many fans. Sports reporter Matt Paris reports a steady stream of leaks drained much of the drama from the announcement. Even team owner Dan Snyder joked the new name was the worst-kept secret in town. Many fans have greeted the Commanders' nickname with a shrug and a vague hope that it will eventually grow on them. The rebrand also features new wrinkles that will differentiate the Commanders from the previous iterations of the team. Black has been added to the traditional burgundy and gold palette, including the introduction of an all-black alternate uniform. A reminder that you can find all these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. If you don't have access to the Times yet, you can visit WashingtonTimes.com/George for a special subscription offer. While European nations and U.S. governors declare an end to the COVID-19 emergency and lift restrictions, the World Health Organization says the pandemic is nowhere near finished and there's no formal mechanism for declaring the end of one. The ambiguity leaves a fragmented and uncertain route to an endemic phase, Tom Howe reports. That's when a virus is generally present and managed like other diseases. Some health officials say the pandemic label will be removed once hospitalization and death rates drop and societal disruptions from the disease disappear. However, those metrics need to be sustained to consider an end to the pandemic phase. According to a watchdog group, the National Institutes of Health has tested an experimental treatment for cocaine addicts on beagle puppies. Stephen Dinan reports the puppies were outfitted with jackets that injected them with drugs, along with an experimental drug fed to the dogs. The White Coat Waste Project discovered the details of the experiment via an open records request. Researchers filmed the dogs to try to spot any signs of adverse reactions between the drugs. They also operated on the dogs to have a telemetry unit implanted to monitor their vital signs. And finally, China scored a public relations coup with the 2008 Summer Olympics as the newly prosperous nation strutted its stuff on the global stage. But Valerie Richardson and Matt Paris report the 2022 Winter Games are looking more like a marketing misstep for an aggressive global power. Calls to snub the Games over China's poor human rights record have all but overwhelmed Beijing's feel-good narrative as the Games begin. The political backlash, including a diplomatic boycott and pressure on corporate sponsors, threatens to overshadow the nearly 3,000 athletes as they enter an isolation bubble surrounded by concerns over pandemic safety, free speech, and even potential arrest. Some of the measures to prevent the spread of the virus appear to be more stringent than those of the Tokyo Games last year. Officials have introduced a closed-loop system to prevent athletes and other participants from making contact with the general Chinese population. Additionally, every day during the Games, athletes must test for virus infection, no matter their vaccination status. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us on any major podcast platform. Just search Washington Times in your favorite podcast app. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WashTimes for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.